Welcome to the Catholic Leadership Network podcast, where we connect the wisdom and experience of ministry leaders to the realities of ministry in the trenches. We journey with ministry leaders through all the hidden aspects that help us to become fruitful ministers. Here at the Catholic Leadership Network podcast, we discuss the stuff that no one told you about Catholic ministry and strive to help ministry leaders succeed from the beginning. Our hosts are Christy the Director for Missionary Discipleship for the Diocese of Cleveland, and Sarah Jarzembowski, the Director for Marriage and Family Life at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Parish in Crofton, Maryland. Please show your support for our efforts by clicking like and subscribe and commenting below. And now here are Sarah and Christy.
It's dangerous.
Oh, gosh, yes, it is. It's dangerous because we just had a really great experience, and here we are to recap. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Catholic Leadership Network podcast. You're gonna get the inside scoop from Christy and I and our experience at the National Eucharistic Congress. We were both there in different ways for different doing different things. And so we just thought we'd hop on and share our experience. There were so many people there, Christy. I thought for sure that I would see people that I knew every time I turned around. And I feel like I saw like 1% of the people I know.
Yes. I totally agree.
I saw more people I didn't know than people that I did know. I met new people. But if you're listening and I didn't see you, I know you were there, and I'm so sorry. There was
so many people. It was so many. Well, and I told we took a group from the Diocese of Cleveland, and I told them in advance. I said to everybody, listen, it's going to be like a sporting event or a big concert that you've gone to, but for 5 days in a row. So if you can even begin to process how many humans that is, it was well, and one of the times I was riding in an Uber, complicated story, doesn't matter, but I'm in the Uber and I was cracking up because everywhere you look, like, here's monks, here are religious sisters, there's clergy. You could see like all the lay faithful like walking, like, and it just was fun, like this big huge Catholic Congress. That's what it was. We gathered together and we were all just being Catholic all the time, the whole time. It was good.
It was really good. And it was, I mean, registration, for better or worse, the lines were around the block. And then, I mean, if you got caught in the registration line, my heart goes out to you. I was in the line for 2 hours. So,
oh, were you really?
I was, because I registered differently than the Bishop's Care team. They had so many tickets that they could use for the Bishop Care team, and I was helping them. So I had definitely a different experience than some folks. But I had to go through the line. It was 2 hours. It was an hour outside. And then we got inside and they're like, you're in the air conditioning, you're almost there. And another hour later. And I heard that it got even longer than that throughout the day. But the leadership of the NEC saw that and brought in more printers and more volunteers, and they did everything that they had in their power to make it better the next day. But we were all there for the first day, man. We wanted in.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I had a group. I took 250 people from the Diocese of Cleveland, and we registered under a group code. So I got to pass that. I walked past that line into a different hall to get our stuff. But that was also a challenge because I don't think anybody brought a group that size. Mostly there were like people were bringing about 100 from a large group. But so we had to figure out how we were going to get 25 boxes of the swag bags in my car and out to our hotels, because that's where I was watching other people sort at the convention center. I was like, Oh, that's an idea. I didn't even think about that. I took my stuff out because my groups were coming in via bus on Wednesday, and I told them I'll get your credentials, and then we'll get that to you whenever you're on your bus on the bus back into town to come for the opening ceremony. So all my folks, pretty much. There were a couple of little like misprints here or there, but overall, my 250 had their credentials and didn't have to wait in that line. So
Oh, if only we
crazy.
all had a Christy.
Let me tell you, that group was, we really, I think we did a thing with Cleveland, and we coordinated that group. If anybody saw, I'm wearing it right now, this red Ohio shirt on Thursday, those are my peeps, all of the
Nice.
kids that were there. And this shirt got a lot of credence. In case if you're just listening and not watching us right now, the shirt says Ohio on the front of it, but the I is a monstrance. And I want to do a special shout out because she was on our show. Carrie Regan designed this shirt. It's so cool. And
Nice.
people went crazy for it. They want to buy it. On the back was how our Eucharistic Revival Committee created sort of our own little Eucharistic Revival logo, words, whatever, but it says gathered, blessed, broken, shared on the back of the shirt. And then it says 10th National Eucharistic Congress and Diocese of Cleveland. So we're changing the shirt a little tiny bit so that our delegates get to keep, their original shirt for having gone with the delegation, but the shirt's going to be in a heathered royal blue. And then on the back, instead of it saying the 10th National Eucharistic Congress, it'll say National Eucharistic Revival, because we're going to carry that forward with everybody going forward. But so, and then we are going to get a little bit of a profit when we sell the shirts, and we're going to use that money to contribute to the year of mission, which is now the year that we've been sent forward from, like, right, Sarah? Like,
Yeah.
especially like Cardinal Tagle. He's a nuncio too, right?
No, he's an emissary.
Oh,
He's got another title, but he's different than the nuncio.
I see. I thought he was a nuncio to like South America somewhere or something. But at any rate,
Maybe, but
he gave the homily and was the presider at our closing mass on Sunday of the Congress and told us what, Sarah? Get out of here.
go, get out of the church. Go when the priest says go.
We gotta go. This is the year of mission, guys. We have stuff to do for Jesus.
Yes.
So
I'm looking up his actual title because
gotta love it. With the
um
beauty of Google's on the cell phones, we can
I
just
I
know these things.
know.
We don't have to worry about having the answers anymore, right,
Pro
guys? Like
prefect
a pro
for
prefect.
the evangelization dicastery.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
Pro
that's the guy.
prefect is what it is. I'm like, that didn't sound right. Yeah. And I wanted to make sure that I got that out for you guys. He went to school at CUA at Catholic University of
Oh, wow.
America. And so he spent quite a number of years here. So he knows America well, and our language well. So that's that, he's just a joy. He was here for the papal visit back in 2015.
Yeah.
That and when I first got to know, not got to know him, that makes me sound like I know him, but got to know who he is. And so I followed him since 2015. So very few bishops give my husband like what is it when you see a celebrity shock kind of thing. But Cardinal Togle's one of them,
So cool.
and so I'll never forget when my husband found himself standing right next to him at the papal visit, like the color left his face and he looked at me, I'm like, I don't know who that is. Like, I don't know what you're saying
See
to
if it's
me.
a guy. It's fangirling, right? But not,
Yeah.
I mean, Paul's not a fangirl, so
He's
that's weird.
not, he's not, and he doesn't do that often, right? So I know when that happens, I'm like, okay, this dude's important, right?
Yeah.
Like this dude's like, he's got something to say. So I started snapping pictures of him, and I got the selfie and whatever. Paul got the selfie him this time as well, which is hilarious. But he really had, I think, an important message for us to, to be in the world. Like, we can't just be in the church and in our own little parish world, or whatever organization we're in, and stay here and this is the be all end all. Like, we
Yeah.
have to go out and into the world and take what we have heard. And we cannot, like, his story was very interesting. If you haven't heard um his homily, please go and listen to his homily. He talks about a woman who seems, quote unquote, very faithful and very and she might be, but because we don't know her heart, but very involved in the church, and she's there from first mass through doors shut, right?
Yeah.
And he finally asks her, as the pastor of this parish, so, thanks her family for letting her be there all morning on Sundays, and she says to him, "Oh, no, it's because I don't want to see my family. I don't want to be with my family during this time. I just need to be away from my family."
Yeah.
Right? And we cannot use our faith as a scapegoat.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I thought,
Yeah.
wow, how many times have I done that and used, oh, I have to be at church for this event or that event because I'm tired of whatever friction I have going on at home.
Yeah. Or I
Or
think too,
whatever
like,
friction I have, whatever's going on, I feel the need to be important. I feel the need to be the one who opens the doors. Like, they rely on me. Like, do I get that junky high off of I am needed? And you have to understand that I am needed by other people, right? Like,
yeah,
no.
or like I think sometimes too we slip too far into almost like we're hiding from the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're in adoration, we're in prayer, we go to mass all the time. Um the thing is, well, who's Father Mike Schmitz, I know, said it. I think Cardinal Tagle said it. I know Bishop Barron said it. I think that Cardinal Christophe Pierre, our papal nuncio, said it. It was this sense that Jesus is not for you individually. Yes, we receive from the Lord and we get his great gifts, but it's because we're supposed to go out and take Jesus to others. Like, we know that God has done something amazing in our lives. Go and give that to someone else. Like, that's the whole. I mean, and Jesus said that from the very beginning. Like, when he commissioned the disciples, Matthew, oh gosh, guys, help me, 28. Go therefore and make disciples. That means go share me with the rest of the world. That's where we're supposed to be. That's the
28,
work.
20.
There we go. Thank you so
28,
much.
20. I
You
only
you
know that
think?
because that's written in my wedding ring. And behold, I am with you always.
Yes, and that's the thing too. Like, the Lord
Right?
doesn't send us out on our own. He sends us with himself, beside us, in us,
Right.
through us. Like, that's why we have the Eucharist, so that we can receive this grace that God is giving to us, and then we can go out and
Right.
share that with everyone else.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
too, I think, Sarah, like, one of the things is that I don't know, it's a little bit of a struggle for me, is that sense that people have, like, being out in the world with people is messy. Like, it's
It is.
hard, because how do you have these conversations, and how do you know? And we get nervous about, like, maybe I'm going to say the wrong thing, or maybe I'm going to offend somebody, or maybe
Yeah.
all this stuff. Guys, that's the evil one spinning
Yes.
yarns in your ear. Don't let that get in the way of who Jesus is calling us to be. And honestly, like, some people have said, oh, the Eucharistic revival's over, it's done. It's actually not. We still have
Mhm.
another year. That's why Cardinal Tagle said that to us, to go get out, because
Yeah.
now we're in this year of mission. And so what does it mean to actually do the Jesus stuff out in the world? What does that mean in your community, with the people that are around you? What is your community suffering? Whether it's indigenous indigenous peoples suffering from poverty that need some kind of care and taken care of, if there's rampant poverty in your area, if there are folks coming in from that are refugees from other countries, how are we serving them? Like, if you have a lot of homebound because you live in a highly senior population and you've got shut-ins, how are we making them feel part of the community? Like, how are we reaching out to those people that are suffering around us?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so glad you brought up the year of mission. Because honestly, as I was processing this over the last 2 days after I came home, my concern is that parish leadership will want to do more. Let's pray on that.
Yeah.
And let's think about it and let's consider it and let's listen and which are not bad in themselves. And yes, we need to pray, and yes, we need to listen, and yes, adoration is important.
Mm.
But if we are not going, then we are doing a disservice to the gifts we receive in prayer,
Yeah,
in adoration, right?
we're the servant that buried the talents.
Yes. Which, don't get me started on that. He did what
Okay,
he
all
was
right.
supposed to do.
All right,
He
relax.
did what he was told to do. Now, we are being told to go out and to give those gifts away. God is not stingy with his gifts to us. We cannot be stingy with giving gifts out. It's funny because I like pick up little things here and there, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give this to so and so, and oh, I'm gonna give these away. And I get them and I wind up not giving them. I have good intentions, but I don't necessarily do anything with it. I have all sorts of junk that I have collected over the years in the thoughts of, oh, I'll find the right person to give this to. This would be good for someone. And
Mm-hmm.
I hold on to things, right? And I hold them. And one of the things that came up is don't be stingy with your gift giving. And that's been something
Yeah.
in prayer even before, but now it's a little bit more urgent. Like, what are you holding on to all of this for?
Yeah.
What do I need this for? I don't need these things. Give it away.
Yeah.
Give it to somebody else. Let that gift nourish someone else. It's
Yeah.
not nourishing me because I already have it.
Yeah.
I've already done what I need to do. Go, give. Don't be stingy with gift giving.
Well, and I think don't hesitate either. Like when you're talking about like as parishes and churches, we want to
Mhm.
pray on it, think over it. We're looking like we get ourselves in analysis paralysis because we're thinking we're going to
Yes.
perfectly. And that's the thing. Like, hey guys, let it go. Jesus sent out the disciples, in case anyone's wondering, way before Matthew 28, just like 2 weeks ago in the gospel. We hear about how Jesus sent the disciples out and like, I mean, all intents and purposes, like they did not have the Holy Spirit. Yes, they did. But like there wasn't that official Pentecost moment. There was not that we thought about it and made a plan. Even on Pentecost, they didn't think about it and make a plan. They
Right.
were doing the opposite of what Jesus called them to. They're hiding in the upper room when the Holy Spirit was like, whoosh, go out, do the things. So I think that's the other part of it. We get ourselves caught up in this sense that like there's some perfect way to do this, and there is not a perfect way to do this. And the way that you get better is to practice. I want everybody right now to just think of that thing that you're really, really good at, whether it's cooking or playing an instrument, or you're a great teacher, or you're a really good woodworker, or whatever you are good at and amazing at. You did not on day one come in like some kind of a, what's the word whenever you're like super good at it right off the bat, like a
Savant,
protege. Yeah, or whatever.
protege,
Savant, all of those words.
whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
Yeah.
not most of us. And
Yeah.
you've got to do to
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like be willing to take a risk for the sake of
Yes.
the gospel. I mean, for heaven's sakes, Jesus got thrashed and put on a cross that was the risk he was taking for us to know his love. I don't think he's asking you to be beaten with whips and then hung on a cross. So it's a little less scary than that. Sometimes it feels as scary as that, to just talk to another person.
Yeah.
But we don't have to do it perfectly, and we can
Yeah.
apologize. The other thing is, if you find that you're in a situation and you feel like you're really messing it up, say sorry. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting so wound up and I'm so excited, or I have still a lot of emotion attached to this, what I'm talking to you about.
Right.
Um, the other thing I think that happens to us is we're afraid of being ridiculed ourselves, that we
Mhm.
put our heart out there and share our faith with someone else and that they would ridicule us for that.
Mhm.
But I think more often than not, you're going to find that people have respect for folks that have deep values and moral convictions. I think being willing to allow that person to wiggle around with that knowledge
Mhm.
and coming back to the conversation, you don't have to get it all out in one go. You
No.
can, you know,
Yeah. I think we should it's the long game.
yeah, long game is
You
good.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's the long game. And if we're just looking at somebody as this moment and not caring about them, if we don't give a shit about them, it doesn't matter what we say,
Yeah, yeah. And it's not a competition. Like some
right?
people talk about evangelization like it's winning. It is,
Good.
but I mean it's not the US American way of thinking about winning, right? Like conversion is a long process. It takes little by little. You know,
Mhm.
I'm still being converted today. And,
Every day.
yeah, yeah,
Every day
every
the
day.
Lord reveals himself to me in a new way. Right? I keep learning, I keep growing, he keeps revealing. The more he reveals, the more I want to learn, the more I want to grow.
Yeah.
You know, I, I never wanted more education. Like, I thought that I was a terrible student. I hated it. I don't want more education. The more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. Right? I never thought I'd have a master's degree. I got my ring on here from Loyola.
Woohoo!
Like I never thought that this would happen. Guess what? I'm thinking about what the next one is. Are you kidding me? I'm the one that didn't get good grades in school. Like
Yeah.
I'll never amount to anything when it comes to education. But God keeps revealing, and the more he reveals, the more I'm like, that's interesting. I want to know more about that. Because
Yeah.
that is more about how God is connecting with me on the inside, right?
Yeah.
There are theologies and charisms that match the way you individually relate to the creator.
Yeah.
That way may not be my way. That's
Right?
my way is not the way my husband's way is.
Mm,
Right? It's not the way yours is. And I
mm-mm.
think we have to be careful with that. I think big events like this concern me because I think there are probably some people who walked away saying, I'm not Catholic enough.
Oof.
I don't, I'm not enough for this crowd. Right?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not, I am not this. I didn't get anything out of Eucharistic adoration. That's not my way of worshiping God.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not Catholic enough if I didn't get it there.
Mm.
And I have concerns about people who are going to fall through the cracks because they didn't feel and get what the other people in their group did and what some other people that they talked to. They might not have felt the fire that so many others of us are talking about. And that concerns me.
Well, here's what else I'm going to say though, Sarah. Like for me, one of my highlights of being at the Congress is I, my opinion, this and it's my experience, is that the big church dynamic there, like there were multiple times I took video and took pictures of the assembly. I wish we would have seen that on the screen a little bit more, that
Mhm.
these people all together. To me, the hearts in the same place, all of these 50,000 plus hearts headed towards the Lord, was the monstrance was beautiful. The Eucharistic host was like one of the biggest ones I've ever seen in my life. I think it was as big as my head. That was amazing, and Jesus was present there. But also Jesus was present in all of the faithful gathered there. And to me, there's a both andness to this that we forget about. Our human nature involves us kind of leaning usually one direction or the other. We are a church of both and remembering that God is moving through all of that. Like these people, the human beings, we bow down before each other. That's what Cardinal Pierre said to us on Thursday night. Like we reverence Jesus in the Eucharistic host, and we reverence him going to be returned to the tabernacle. But he said, but do we bow before our friends, our neighbors? Friends, do we bow before our enemies to reverence the presence of Christ in them? That, I think, we forget it. We put Jesus up on this clean, removed pedestal. We still owe it. It's a both and. The cross gives us that example of us and God and us and neighbor. Like we've got to reach out to other, because unity is that relationship of all of us coming together. That's why, I mean, not why, but like Jesus's arms are out on the cross because he's opened his grasp to embrace all of us together, no matter, what the background is or what the sins are, and that there's no time in your life when you are not worthy of Christ or his sacrifices for you. That is actually the gospel message for everyone. It's for everyone. Gosh, I'm getting emotional. It's just so important to me that people know that.
Yes.
He wants you. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's coming for you.
Yeah, he is.
Right? Like he's coming for you in the love that you need, in the love that you desire, he's coming for you. And I think that really stands out here. And I hope those people who are feeling some of that doubt and some of that sadness have an individual in their life to be able to share what you just said with them.
Yeah.
That, I think, is what our call is now, right?
100%.
Check in with our friends and make sure that they're feeling God's love, and that they're feeling that it's okay if they didn't feel the same thing as so-and-so.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay if they're not experiencing it the same way. You mentioned a couple of things in your parish that people might be called to not too long ago, and the thought that came out is that's the personal apostolate, right?
Yeah.
Personal apostolate, and I think that's what we're called to next, is discerning what our personal apostolate is and who we are doing that with. Right? God sends us out in 2 by 2 at the minimum, right? 2 by 2 at the minimum. And what is our personal apostolate? Who can we gather together with us to move that forward? And some of those people who may be feeling less than or some sense of discomfort here are the people to talk to, because I think those people are going to bring a perspective that connects with something in our hearts, that the gift that we have to give. Right. So, so let's not let it land here. Let's not let it stay in this space and in this place. Christ reminded us that we're not to build tents here. We're not meant to stay on the top of the mountain. We have to go down. We have to go out. And so what does that mean? And that means what God is calling to in our personal apostolate. It may not be what's going on at your parish. It may be something that needs to be started. It may need to be something that's enhanced. or something that is um uh just different, so
Yeah.
you mentioned you're sending your crew into that year of mission. Do you have ideas for that? What are you doing as a leader here for your delegation?
So we talked to them about that they're coming from all different regions across the diocese, this 250, and from different cultural groups and what have you, and that
Mhm.
we talked to them about them praying on and discerning what God is calling them to in that particular region. So
Mhm.
first of all, that is their commission, and they will officially be commissioned by Bishop Malesic
Oh, wow.
at a mass in August 24th, I think the date is, at the cathedral. And but like to start it off, I feel that people need to know what their own story is with the Lord. So we have a workshop that we're going to do next week on Thursday, and I have my little workbook here. This is the draft, so I'll like just cover up some of the stuff in case like people are, this is not the cover now. It's mostly the cover, but it's a little bit different. But it says tell your story on the front.
Yes.
And we're going to walk through those steps of timelining our journey with God, pulling out those moments in our lives. Whether I think one of the things we get are convoluted for ourselves is like everything that's your journey with God has to do entirely with church. So sacramental celebrations and things along the like
Yeah.
whatever day that I became a catechist or that. But actually, guys, God is with us in all the things. So when you change jobs, or if you moved, or if somebody died or a child was born, like all of these pivotal moments in our life, even I'm trying to think of any of my dumb ones. Literally, it was a job change thing for me that was and it was secular job stuff that I was like, sorry, I call it a dumb one because it doesn't like match up to the big glory stories of like I was a drug dealer, prostitute, homeless, and now, sorry, I'm just trying to like add all of the things all at once.
Yes.
Jesus came in and saved me, and it can be so, so small and
Yeah.
simple. But what's that transition where you started to notice, uh, oh, the Lord is talking to me. The Lord has a mission for me to do. The Lord is asking me to step outside of myself and use these gifts that He's given me in some way that I couldn't possibly imagine. And I didn't think I was good enough or smart enough or brave enough, but gosh darn it, God loves you, and He wants you to be part of that. So we're going to walk through those pieces and then how to slim that down so that I'm not telling every single bit of my story from soup to nuts, but that I'm pulling out singular stories
Yeah.
and recognizing how the charisma, the good news of salvation and God's love for us comes through that little bit of a story. And then how to really bring it down so that it's 4 or 5 minutes, that you're not blathering on and chewing somebody's ear off. Because love you guys. I'm a word person too. I have lots and lots of words every single day. Sarah knows about it.
What? We're only at our
When did
40
that
minute
when
mark.
did that start? That we want to bring that down. Not what color shirt that I was wearing or what day of the week that it was, but what happened that is transformative and how are we telling that story?
Yeah, that's awesome, Christy. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that there are things that are happening beyond. Everyone, I'd love to hear what's happening beyond in your parish. Are people listening to the talks? I walked into the office on Monday or Tuesday, and one of our volunteers was right there. Like she was walking, and we just happened to hit in the hallway, and her face was so on fire. She's like, were you part of this? I'm listening, and I'm listening to this one and this one and this one. And did you hear so and so? And oh, Sarah, you've got to hear, so what are you doing in your parish? And I look forward to going back to her and saying, hey, Sue, what do we do with that? Right? What did you hear, and what can we be doing better, differently? What do we need to put into place? Right. So, I'd love to hear your stories in the comments, on Facebook. Message us if you don't want it public, that's fine. But we'd love to hear, and really dig into this. Christy, any final thoughts, any final things that you wanted to share with the folks?
I just think that for us to, I love these kind of mountaintop moments when people are really just as a whole large group, we get together, we're a big church. We see that the church is bigger than our local communities. We got to go out. Like discipleship means moving. So go move in your communities. Let's get her done. Let's share Jesus with everybody.
Yes. Yes, it's going to be messy. It's going to be dirty. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
perfect. And you know what? God is perfect in the imperfections, right?
He's right in there with you. Don't
Perfect
worry.
in those imperfections. And we just hope that you realize, everyone, that God is in you and in your imperfections. Your imperfections are your strength. They're your gift. Give them away. Don't be stingy. We are here for you, and would love to hear your thoughts. And just hope that you have the opportunity to listen to some of the talks. There were some really great ones. And my two we talked about today were the Papal Nuncio at the very beginning, and Cardinal Tagle. I'm always up for Julianne Stan talk as well.
He's
Um,
okay.
yeah, and Sister Josephine was just great. And there are so many folks. So just hop onto YouTube. EWTN has them all posted up there. Just go and just start listening. They're not super long each. So just hop in and have a notepad handy, because God's gonna say something to you. You're gonna have thoughts and inspiration. Write them down, take them to prayer, and then
Yeah. Go do it.
do it. We can do this together, and know that you are all in our prayers, and we appreciate you for listening. Thanks for joining us today on the Catholic Leadership Network podcast, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. Please click the like and subscribe. And if you find this important to the conversations you're having in your local ministry, please share and join the conversation in the comments below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Catholic Leadership Network podcast.